Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Well, we've got another good one for you here today. We're taking a look at the CZ75 PCR Custom. And by custom, that means that CZ's gone in and they've changed the hammer and the firing pin and spring, and they've done a bunch of other tricky things to the internals of the gun with the idea of making it a better handgun. How's that translate to you as far as it being a good carry gun? Well, we're going to answer those questions and a whole lot more in just a minute. All right, once again, welcome back. Thanks for being with us today. If this is your first time coming to the channel, or if you've watched our videos before and just haven't had a chance before now, and you like our content, please consider subscribing. You can do that by locating that little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your computer screen there, or alternatively, if you're on a mobile device, you can just scroll down below the video and hit subscribe that way. It's a very simple thing, but it helps us out a whole lot, and we really appreciate it. So, CZ75 PCR Custom. I like this gun. There's a lot of things that it does well, and you've heard me talk if you've watched the channel before and some of the other CZ videos. I think CZ is putting out some really good products, and every time I get to handle a new one, it just makes me believe that even more. So I always like to do a little size comparison, and there's a couple of handguns that I would carry, I would say, that would be of direct comparison size with this one, probably close to the weight, and one of them is one of my favorite compact handguns of all time, and that is my little HK USP Compact. I just absolutely love this gun. For the CZ to be sort of distracting my attention away from the HK, that says a lot. But I'll show you here as you look, you know, the relative size, and you look at the thickness of the two guns. You can see the HK is a little bit beefier in the rear. And you can see that the sight picture and the grip just a hair longer on the CZ, but you can see it's just a little bit more slender. Another common comparison, because it's a gun that actually gets directly compared with this a lot, of course, is going to be something like your Glock 19. I think that Glock it's a good gun. You know, obviously most people are familiar with them, and I know the 19 is one of the best-selling handguns of all time. And you know, I think that they're very close. I think that, you know, with capacities being, you know, things being about equal there, and if you look it over once again, the whole idea of this comparison, obviously these guns are not the same. They don't have the same, between these two, they're different actions, you know, so they operate in a completely different manner. This is more about just kind of giving you an idea of what it's going to be like to try to carry the gun. A lot of people are familiar with the Glock 19. And if you've carried a Glock 19, knowing how close the CZ is going to be in size, that'll help you make some better choices about, you know, holsters and things like that, because you've already got a pretty good idea about how much bulk this is going to be and what it's going to weigh. All right, we're going to jump right into the features here. Before we do, we're going to take a moment and thank our friends over at Don's Weaponry for providing us this beautiful example of the CZ75 PCR Compact for our tabletop review today. Don's Weaponry is a huge supporter of firearms safety and education, and we can't thank them enough. So, obviously, we're going to start off by getting our magazine out of here, making sure that's safe. And, of course, you can see those are 15-round magazines. They give you 2 of them. And we're going to let you see the weapon is clear. It is totally safe, so we are good to go there. All right. So, if you look at it, obviously, the sight setup, it's pretty basic, but they do a fiber optic on the front there. So, to me, as long as you get a high visibility front sight, it's a pretty good sight setup for me. I'm happy. I like it. Some pretty good serrations on the front and rear, even through gloves. These look small, but they're not. You can really pick up on these. So, if you really rely on those serrations, you're going to like the way these are set up. Of course, you got your slide lock and release here. It's just on the one side, but it's nice and big and beefy and easy to use. This particular gun does have a decocker on it. So if you get the gun cocked your decocker is right there, and you can see it brings it right back there. Your trigger guard is pretty good size. One thing I always look for in a handgun is it doesn't have to be a huge, like a Mark 23 style trigger guard, but it does need to be big enough to where you can get your finger in here without having to do a bunch of crazy manipulation whenever you need to get the gun in your hand. I just like it better that way personally. Your magazine release is right here. Functionally, it's pretty easy. I don't feel like that my hands are ever getting on it in the wrong way. It sticks out a pretty good ways, but I never feel like I'm going to accidentally drop the magazine. The grip panels here, it's weird because they're sort of slick, and you would think these were slippery, but there's just a little slight pattern cut into it. So once you have your hand on the grip, it actually doesn't feel that slick at all. Of course, you got some grooves cut into the front of the grip there, and you've got some cut into the rear. The ergonomics, if you've never had a CZ in your hand, I think this is, at the very least, the starting point. You should try that. A lot of people, when they pick up the CZ, the grip angle of the CZ and the ergonomics is something that people notice immediately, and it helps them shoot the gun well from the very beginning. You don't have to spend a lot of time with a pistol like this to get good results. So, has a good set of features. I'm going to go over the trigger a little more when we get to the range section, because we're getting really technical and we start talking about what makes this gun great, because a lot of it has to do with the internals. But once again, that is subject for the range. So speaking of the range, let's get right down to it here. The whole idea behind the PCR Custom is that this gun has been tuned. It includes action work, competition hammer, extended firing pin, 2075 FP spring, CZ75 trigger, 13-pound mainspring, and a host of other improvements to the inside of the gun here. Now, what does that do? Well, there's a lot of things that has been able to accomplish for the handgun, but the main thing is that it's a very, very good shooting, very smooth shooting handgun. So obviously this is a double action, single action handgun, so you can go with your full double action trigger pull here, and once again we'll let you see that we're safe and clear before we start pulling hammers back here. But so for the full double action, it feels so good. CZ has got one of the best, to me, one of the smoothest, best feeling double action trigger pulls of any handgun ever. You got just a slight bit of take up here, and then it's a very smooth, it doesn't feel like you're really loading that trigger up. It's just a nice smooth pull all the way through. This came in at around a 7.5 pound pull is what I got here. And then of course your single action, you got a bit of take up here. Now get ready for this, because on the single action, once you're in that little window, you get just a slight little bump, and then nice breaks like glass. Just a really, really, really great trigger. And then once again, we'll do that. I'm going to show you the reset on this trigger. That is really good. One of the things that CZ does well is they make guns that shoot well. Ergonomics are good, and the guns are easy to shoot. And when I say easy, I've had guns in my hands before that seems like I'm constantly trying to figure out, the best way to shoot the gun, the best with the amount of force to put on the trigger, the speed that I pull the trigger, because the internals aren't as good. And most of the CZs that I've shot, you don't have to really overthink it. Within a few shots, you can really start putting rounds on paper. And you can make little improvements along the way as you get comfortable with the gun. But it's a well-made gun. So far, my experience with CZs is they are not particularly picky with ammo, at least not the ones that I have shot. Customary to most range trips, we're always going to put a different number of ammunition types through the gun. As far as just regular range ammo goes, 115 grain 9mm from PMC, and also some of the SMB. Good ammo, no issues there. I tried some of the Hornady here, the little defensive rounds. These are pretty good. I don't shoot these near as accurate as some of the other ones I have in here. About the two most accurate rounds I have, the Spear Gold Dot, I shoot these really well. This is the 124 grain 9mm round. And then, of course, I always like to try out the SIG V Crown. I just like these rounds a lot. SIG doesn't pay me a dime to talk about their ammo, so don't worry about that. But I always try the 115 and the 124. And most of the time, the 115 ends up being the thing I shoot the most accurately. But oddly enough, in this test, the Spear Gold Dot and the SIG V Crown and 124 were both the better shooting ammo. And the way I determine this is I will load magazines with every different ammo type and shooting them in different orders. It doesn't matter which one I do when, but I will look at the overall accuracy, and I also try and make sure it's after I've warmed up and things like that. But and that's just me. Once again, me saying that that I shoot this particular round better doesn't mean anything about how you're going to shoot it. That's just the results that we got. But so this particular firearm, like most CZs I've had in my hand, it doesn't seem to be picky with ammo. It's extremely accurate and has an amazing trigger. This one even more so, thanks to the custom work that was done. And it's just an overall great shooting gun. Well, if you decide to make the PCR Custom your carry gun, you're definitely going to want to get the right holster. This gun, like, when you see me talk about handguns in this size, now this is a compact handgun. Now, when people call this a compact handgun, that's kind of a grain of salt thing because, as I mentioned in the beginning, one of my favorite handguns, for example, is, little HK USP here, compact. These are compact guns, but these are not light guns. These are heavy when they're fully loaded. So you want to really think about how you're going to holster that gun. For me, for guns, when we get in this size, you got to get into something that has some real support. For me, that answer is always very simple. I look at something like the Crossbreed Super Tuck here. You got Kydex, you've got leather, you got two big clips, and you've got the retention from the Kydex here. It doesn't just fall out. Now, tons of people make holsters in that same style, Alien Gear and DeSantis and many others. So there's hundreds of different options for this gun. CZ's been making this particular gun in various variants for a long time. So there's a lot of aftermarket support. But I do recommend you get a holster that does have, two clips like that that's going to support the weight of the gun better. And make sure you get a good belt, because a good holster is useless if you have a little thin, flimsy belt, and then the whole thing is going to, sag on the waistline. So for me, guns in this size, anything that's really in the compact handgun and above, starts to become a challenge for me with comfort. Now, I carried a Glock 19 for a number of years as my carry gun. I carried a Glock 23 for many years. I carried USP compact and still do sometimes in the winter. So this is just as easy and just as comfortable for me to carry, but I definitely wouldn't carry something like this. For me in the summertime, I just couldn't, because there's no way I'm going to be able to conceal this, not with the way I typically dress in the summertime. In the winter, where I could have on more layers, I can conceal this a lot more comfortably. Plus, I have more options. I can wear it, even under my shoulder, under a coat. There's many other ways I can holster this type of gun in the winter and during the summer. Having said that, I know a lot of people that carry guns this size every day. They either carry them, inside the waistband, outside the waistband. A lot of people, they will even take something like this, and they will appendix carry, which I'm not a big believer in that one, but I've seen people that can do it. Either way, the gun's weight is very comparable to the guns that we talked about in the beginning and many other compact handguns. So if you're used to carrying something like a Glock 19, the weight of this won't be a problem either. Just get a good holster. Like most CZ pistols I've had in my hand, I'd say overall this one is great. CZ does a really good job of making handguns that have fantastic ergonomics and reliable firing systems, and a lot of accuracy seems to be built into the gun. You can be a new shooter and do really well with most CZs. And for a compact handgun, I love the way the CZ gun like this shoots, because it actually has the accuracy of a full-size handgun. But it's all the little details that make the difference. You know, the ergonomics of the grip, the controls. And in this case, a lot of custom work has been done to the internals to make this gun a little bit better. But really, any version of this gun is going to be a great gun. I'm pretty impressed with how well the PCR Custom shoots, but of course I expect that. You know, and for some people, of course, there's always the bad. Something like this, it's going to retail between, $1,000 and $1,100. Okay, well, for some people that's going to be a little more than they're willing to pay for a compact handgun. But it's certainly not at the ridiculous high end of the price spectrum for something like this. I think CZ actually prices their handguns pretty competitively considering what you get. Because there are many people making guns that are competitors to them that I don't think are near as good. As a matter of fact, I don't think a Glock is near as good as a CZ as far as how well it shoots. Now, a lot of people like Glocks because there's a lot of simplicity that comes with a Glock. Of course, there's tons of aftermarket support, things that you can do, and they're so simple to work on. That's how a lot of people end up kind of in the Glock camp anyway. And like I said, they're not bad guns. But if I were being asked which one I want, if I got a choice to carry one gun and I'm looking at accuracy and overall performance of the handgun, I'm going to go with the CZ every time. So to me, it's a good choice for anyone that wants a good quality handgun. They don't mind paying a little bit more to get something nice. I think you'll be pleased with the results, and it's something that you would keep for a long time. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. As always, we appreciate you being with us. We'll be back very soon with another video for you. So until that time, everyone stay safe and have a great day. Thank you.